Okay, in this video, I'm going over UFC Fight Night, Royval versus Kape. It took place yesterday and was pretty lame, to be honest. There were some good finishes in the main card, and Steven Asplund completely dominated the spotlight of the prelims with his flabby fight, which was a blast to watch. In an incredible heavyweight fight, a brawl, a bloody mess, and Steven Asplund KOs Sharaf in spectacular fashion. Amazing prelim fight. And other than that, the prelims were pretty boring for the most part, but the main card kicked up a little bit with some three really cool finishes and then two really boring garbage fights that we're going to be going over in today's video, starting with the main event of Royval versus Kape. I was right. Kape was able to put Royval completely out cold. Not completely out cold. It was a little bit of an early stoppage, but he looked out. But as the fight started, Kape started landing low kicks. He started feeling himself. He's very comfortable in there always, especially on the feet. He's extremely comfortable in the fight, which I thought was going to lead to him being able to KO Royval, who's been rocked in his last fight by Joshua Van, who's not a power puncher. And Kape isn't a super powerful puncher, but he did come into this fight looking like a miniature, like a midget Israel Adesanya with a bunch of gyno, and he just KO'd a pretty good chin at flyweight. So I don't know. It's interesting that he has so much power after that, but Kape was able to KO Royval without a foul, without an eye poke. Very impressive. But yeah, Royval was able to tit for tat on the outside with shots for a lot of the first round. He was winning up to the point of the KO, I think, but Manel stayed comfortable. He stayed cocky. He was going forward. He was putting a really good pressure on Royval, and then he tracked him down and put him out cold with the right hand. He landed the right hand, dropped Royval bad, landed another ground and pound shot that's like slumped him out for like a second, and then Brandon came back too. But the look that Brandon Royval had when he got hit with that first ground and pound shot made it like he was stiff out cold. But he woke up because Brandon Royval does have a good chin. But I think it was a good stoppage. I don't think it was early. But Kape is proving to be a dangerous contender at flyweight. And he's had really good fights with the best people at flyweight already. Like, he already fought Pantoja and lost. He's beaten everybody up to this point now, on his streak. How good is Muhammad? Yeah. How good is Muhammad Makayev? Not Muhammad. How good is Makayev? Because Makayev grapple fucked the shit out of Kape. I know he didn't have a foot in that fight, but still impressive. Maybe we should bring back Makayev. But Kape just put himself in the way of Tyra for a title shot against Joshua Van, at least in my opinion. Maybe you do Tyra versus Van, and then the winner gets a title shot, or Tyra versus Kape, and the winner of that gets a fight against Joshua Van. Or maybe you just wait a really long time, do Kape versus Tyra, Pantoja versus Joshua Van, because you have to run that back, and then the winners fight each other. And that would kind of solve flyweight a little bit, because a finish like that over Brandon Royval earns you a title shot. And it's more impressive than a submission or a kind of a shitty ground and pound finish over Brandon Moreno, in my opinion. So yeah, Kape, he's kind of a beast. Brandon Royval is no joke. He's been the gatekeeper of the title shot for a long time, and beat Tatsuro Taira, and Kape just killed him. So, very impressive. Next, we have Kevin Vallejos versus Giga Chikadze. So this fight, Giga Chikadze was looking good. He was looking very slick on the feet. He had good kicks, like he always does. He's Giga Kick. He had very fast, athletic kicks. He was going everywhere, low kick, high kick, body kick. Very fast. I thought it won him the first round. He was landing better shots. Kevin Vallejos couldn't get in his groove very well. He couldn't get in that boxing distance as well as he wanted to. Towards the end of the round, he started to hold Giga against the cage and kind of started to slow it down. And Giga did get a really big gash on his shin from a kick from Vallejos, which maybe you could score that for Kevin at that point, but I don't think so. I think Giga did better work. But in the second round, Kevin started to get his flow going. He started to get that boxing flow. He started getting in the pocket more, and then he charged in, threw a right hand, caught it, followed through, threw a spinning back fist, and knocked Giga Chikadze out cold. Sick fucking finish for Kevin Vallejos, who has that similar tight boxing style that a Ilia Topuria dominated this division with. And Kevin Vallejos is only 24, and he's looking really good, and just got to finish over a guy who's made tough decisions with a lot of contenders. Calvin Kattar couldn't finish him. He fought Max Holloway. He's been a mainstay at featherweight for a while. Not anymore, obviously, because he sucks and he's old now. But Kevin is looking great, and he's kind of on the way to becoming a mainstay contender at featherweight. And I think he has a lot of potential to fight for the belt one day, because his one loss was against Gene Silva, and I think Gene Silva is also a potential title shot holder in the future. So very impressive. Featherweight's looking great. I'm very excited for featherweight. We could get the Kevin Vallejos versus Gene Silva rematch after Gene Silva goes a couple fights in the top of the division while Kevin gets his way up there. But besides Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez too, which is a terrible rematch that doesn't make any sense, featherweight's looking pretty good with its contenders coming up. So yeah, not much more to say about that. Kevin Vallejos is sick, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And now we get to go over this schlop. We have Cesar Almeida versus Cesare Oleksiejczuk Zuk. This was a terrible fight. I picked Cesar Almeida like an idiot. Oh yeah, I picked Kevin Vallejos, by the way. But I picked Cesar Almeida like a dumb idiot because I thought he could stuff a fucking takedown one time and he would do pretty good in the boxing on the feet, which he did do pretty good work in the boxing on the feet when it was on the feet, which was never, because Cesar was able to take him down in all 3 rounds and hold him down. And that was the story of this fight. Cesar Almeida proves that you need to work on grappling to be good at grappling and not just kickboxing. And he just isn't good at grappling at all whatsoever. Can't stuff a takedown. Cesar isn't even known for his takedowns. He's usually a fun fighter that gets knockouts, but he was a full-on fucking Dagestani in this fight. Took Cesar down, held him down for all 3 rounds, didn't land any ground and pound. Super boring fucking fight. That Cesar dominated to a decision. And everybody was shitting on him. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Boo. I hate this fight. I hate this style of fighting. It's so boring and gay. But it's very effective, I will say, especially against a pure kickboxer like Cesar Almeida, who literally, it looks like he only kickboxes in his training camp, even though he knows he can kickbox and should probably work on anything other than kickboxing in his camp. But I guess you might not be able to teach an old dog like that anything new, even though Pereira has stuffed every single one of Magomed Ankalaev's takedowns. It's just kind of a weird thing. But yeah, Cesare, he's good, but I'm not excited to see his next fight at all. I think he's gay and boring. Next, we have Melquizel Costa versus Morgan Charier, and this one was the fucking final sick fight I'm going to go over in today's video. Melquizel is a beast, and I counted him out hard. I didn't do very good on predictions in this card whatsoever. I picked Morgan. I thought he was going to I thought he was going to be able to be too quick, too athletic, too powerful, and catch Melquizel Costa in one of the like freaky exchanges he tends to get himself in. But Melquizel dominated this fight from start to finish, and it wasn't very long. Melquizel started with a mean body kick, landing it over and over. Morgan looked like he did not want to go forward. He looked shy. He didn't want to trade with Melquizel, which I thought he was gonna. I thought he was just gonna push forward in a kind of with an attitude and try to catch Melquizel Costa, but he didn't. He backed up, and Melquizel threw a head kick, fell over while throwing it, landed it directly on Morgan's face, and chinned him out cold, completely out cold stiff in the first round very early. Insanely impressive for Melquizel Costa. I'm very excited to see what he does next. He's on a pretty good streak, and this was a fucking insane finish over Morgan Charier, who he does have a lot of, like, Morgan has a lot of losses on his record, but he's not bad. He's made tough fights with a lot of good opponents, and he knocked out Nate Landwehr, and he's very athletic and powerful, and that's why I picked him. But Melquizel just finds a way to win, and his only loss is to Steve Garcia, I believe, which is not a bad loss at all, because Steve is running through everybody. So yeah, Melquizel might not be, I counted him out, and he might not, like, he might be no joke for these featherweights. He's pretty fucking good, and he should look for the rankings next. He has a 4-fight win streak, and he has marketability and a story. He has a good story, and he dyes his hair, and he has his condition and stuff. So he's a very marketable, exciting fighter, and I'm excited to see what he does next. And next we have Kennedy Nzechukwu versus fucking Marcus Buchecha. This fight was terrible. Terrible fight from both people. It ended in a draw, which is so funny because I thought Kennedy did more work. Obviously, it was a draw because of a point deduction, but and Kennedy would have won. But it's so funny that it even got to where it got to, because it was like back and forth grappling the entire fight. Marcus Buchecha is like a black belt superstar in jiu-jitsu, and he could not, for the life of him, find a way to do anything dominant against Kennedy Nzechukwu, bar the second round ground and pound. It was impressive how bad he looked. After, with his credentials in grappling, he should have been able to implement half of what Walter Walker did, because Walter Walker instantly heel hooked Kennedy Nzechukwu without the grappling background and without any accolades. Buchecha went for like 8 heel hooks and never even looked close to getting it. And Kennedy didn't look scared whatsoever. It's just really weird the way credentials work in MMA. Like American wrestling doesn't work at all. Jiu-jitsu at the higher weight classes especially doesn't fucking do anything. Like Buchecha was like doing weird dumb things in the grappling, like trying to pull guard and stuff and like roll to his back. It was very strange. But Kennedy did more damage as the fight went on, and that's why he won the first and the third. But in the second, Buchecha eventually got mount and was able to land elbows and almost finish the fight, but just didn't do enough. And it kind of just kept Kennedy alive instead of just slamming elbows. He kind of just let it. He'd land 3 and then sit there and then try to keep in position, I guess, and then he'd land 3 more. I thought it was going to be finished, but nope. They made it to the third. In the third round, they kind of just rolled around like fat idiots for the entirety of that fight, or for that round. So that was awesome. But yeah, a draw. I thought Kennedy obviously would have won without the point deduction in the second, but overall, just a shit fight that nobody is ever going to watch or care about Buchecha ever again. They should really cut Buchecha, I'm not going to lie. He's ass. And they cut Martin Bidet for beating him. You got to cut Marcus Buchecha. He's terrible. And Kennedy Nzechukwu didn't show anything in this fight either. But we know that Kennedy has some power and some finishing potential, at least, so keep him around. But yeah, cut Buchecha. He is so boring and terrible. Next, the final fight on this card, Bobby Green versus Lance Gibson Jr. Bob Green versus Lance. Lance Gibson Jr. is the worst fighter ever. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not that much. Yeah, Lance, he looked like shit in this fight. He did not look like he wanted to win at all. He threw leg kicks and whiffed a couple hooks, and that is it. And I'm not even joking. He did not look like he wanted to win this fight. I guess he landed a takedown at one point that did literally nothing. But the entire fight was Robert Green walking down Lance Gibson and talking shit like a gangster. He's got the hood style, and he had his hands at his waist, and he was walking at him with his chest popped out and his shoulders flying in the wind. And he just walked down Lance Gibson, landed the better shots the entirety of the fight, winging shots and landing on Lance. Lance just looked terrified the whole fight. He looked terrified. And a judge gave it to Lance, which is insane. I don't think you can score a round for Lance in this fight. And there's some people on Twitter during the fight that were saying Gibson won the first. He did not win the first. He landed way less significant strikes and was getting walked down and bitched the entirety of it. 4 leg kicks doesn't win you. Not every rangy striking performance is good because you land a couple leg kicks and you look like you're doing something by moving around on the back foot. Bobby was landing better. I don't understand the take that he won the first or the second. The second was the closest. I still think Bobby Green clearly won. And then the third was a dominant win for Bobby, which he took him down in the third and fucking beat him up on the ground. And I picked, I forgot to mention this, I picked Lance Gibson Jr. to chin Bobby Green, but he didn't throw anything. And I'm an idiot for picking Lance. I didn't realize how shit he was, but I really don't trust Bobby Green's chin. And against anybody good, I think he gets cleaned out cold. But Lance is not anybody good. He is terrible. He's not UFC level. Maybe he'll improve. And yeah, I bet you he gets one more UFC fight after this, but if he took this on such short notice. But Bobby Green gets to waltz in there on a catch weight on like a week's notice and destroy Lance Gibson without any damage, and then he gets to just go away. Very good situation for Bobby Green. And it's great for him anyway. It's sad seeing Bobby Green just put completely out cold, but you know they're going to put him against someone fun next because he's a name, and you have to put a name against a name a lot of the time. And he's going to get fucking knocked out cold. I don't trust King Green at all. Queen Green at all in the chin department. But he is pretty fun. He's a flashy, showboaty type fighter, which I do enjoy that type of style. So yeah, Bobby Green gets it done by decision. Split decision. Dumbest shit ever that it was a split decision. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm not going to go over any other fights on the. I'm not going to go over the prelims, just the main card. I actually go over one, Yaroslav Amosov, on the prelims because he looked really fucking good, and he's going to be a problem at welterweight because Neil Magny is no joke, as everybody knows. He's the gatekeeper of gatekeepers at welterweight, and Yaroslav Amosov dominated him in the grappling and got him in the meanest darce choke I've ever seen in my life, or maybe it was an anaconda. But either way, he had it wrapped up and then trapped his arm with his legs, and there was literally nothing Neil could do. It was the tightest fucking darce choke I've ever seen. Insanely impressive from the Ukrainian fighter. And this is interesting to me because we have a Ukrainian grappling phenom coming up at welterweight, and we have a Russian champion in Islam Makhachev. It's an interesting promotion tactic that they could use for a potential fight with these two. Maybe not a morally sound one, but it is going to be a big hit on Instagram if they make Yaroslav Amosov versus Islam Makhachev, because it would be a battle of nations and probably get a ton of views from both countries. Just saying. There's a big opportunity for there if Yaroslav can get some wins in the meantime and Islam can be as inactive as possible. Or maybe get one more win. But I just don't see Islam beating very many welterweight contenders. There's some really good ones coming up. But yeah, Yaroslav dominated the grappling. And I just wanted to highlight that one because I thought that one was a really slick, amazing performance from him. But that is it. Let me know what you think. And I will see you soon.